Hello. Well, we've all seen the big announcement yesterday at 2 o'clock where they've announced 8th edition 40k. And already there's a bit of fuss going on over the internet. There's a bit of conflict between the people who are sure it's not going to be Age of Sigmar Part 2 and people who are feeling that the sky is falling. What do we know? They're going to reintroduce armour saves. They're going to get rid of all existing codexes, all existing formations, and go from the ground up. They're going to reintroduce movement values, which means that instead of having some units with weird rules like Fleet, you'll have units that just have higher movement. So Eldar may go back to being 5 movement. Tyranid Warriors may well go back to being 6 movement. Instead of having a situation where everything moves pretty much the same unless it's got a couple of special rules where it can get a bit of extra movement. We will see, I imagine, army selection become a lot more flexible. Things we're guaranteed to see, it looks very likely that it's going to be a Plague Marine and Space Marine starter set. What I'm doing here is this is my Vostroyan Shadow War Armageddon gang, which I'm painting. I'd got them tournament ready, so 3 coats and a base, but I'm now going back and making sure that they're a paint job that I'm happy with, because of the 10 models that I'm painting up, 7 of them have got faces and 2 of them have got masks. So I'm going in with a bit of Tallarn Flesh. I don't know if they've changed the name of it since I bought the paint. And doing the base coat on the face. And as you can see, that immediately makes a lot of difference. It's painting a tiny area, but suddenly the model's got more focus. It's why painting faces and painting faces well is so important. And I'm using a wet palette, so that I've got one bit of paint that I'll use for all the models, and it's watered down and ready to go. I can then blend that bit of paint into the next shade and go from there. What I will do after I've finished this coat of Tallarn Flesh is apply an ink wash. Again, I think all of these models have got a moustache. Some of these are going to be very fiddly to get to, which means I'll be touching up the skin a little later. But, as you can see from the first one I did, they look 10 times better with a face on. So, 8th edition's coming, likely as early as June, because one reason for them to do this announcement now is because White Dwarf will start having teasers next month. Also, it's getting so close that they're going to have to tell the retail arm of the business, probably pulling out the new starter set at the big managers meeting in 22nd of May, and as soon as they tell the managers, everybody's going to know, because that's not airtight in terms of leaks. GW got much better recently in terms of telling people what's going on. Because every other games company promotes their big releases, builds up excitement, does videos and marketing material, lets their retailers know that it's coming. Nobody else launches things to be such a big surprise. No computer game company does it, because it'd be retail suicide. And GW are fortunately moving out of that, because they recognise that a huge part of their sales are through independents, and if they don't tell their independents more than a week ahead of time what's coming out, then their independents are going to think they're a lot less reliable than the competition, who will tell them ages ahead of time what's coming out, give them a chance to build interest locally, give them a chance to promote things, which is what you want as a retailer. You want to know what's going to come out, and then you can promote it. Having no idea what's going on does not build confidence, and GW are moving well away from that. We saw the promos at Gamma for Armageddon, for Shadespire, for the Plague Marine stuff that will be out in the next couple of months, marking the next trilogy for 40k. The question is whether that's going to come out before the next edition or not. Hopefully it does, because otherwise they're releasing a whole bunch of books that will be outdated within a month or so, which is not going to build a lot of happiness from your customers. But yeah, what do we know? They're rejigging the game. It's as big a change as the change from 2nd to 3rd edition, which I was there for. I played all the editions of 40k. I started with Rogue Trader, and to be fair, the release of things like the Compendium was almost like a new edition, because it codified 40k as a war game, not simply as a miniatures role-playing game. Before the support in White Dwarf and the building up of the army lists, 40k was, you randomly generated your equipment. It was very, very like a role-playing game. Now, I didn't play before the Compendium came out, so I was used to 40k always being a war game, though I did do things like collect the EOE Go supplement and freebooters from the White Dwarfs. But yeah, I've been through as many edition changes as there's been editions. There's very often an element of panic, and nerds don't like change generally anyway. But let's have a look. That's a nice even coat. I'll probably be able to wash those straight away, which means I will put this back on here to mix for the first coat after the wash. My kill team ended up being 10 man rather than 8 man, so I've used all the models from the set I had, apart from the heavy bolter team. I've got 2 sniper rifles and a flamer, 6 ordinary guys with las guns, a sergeant with las pistol and sword. I've played a couple of games, I've won one, lost one. Everybody's got hot shot packs now. 4 of them have got carapace armour. The snipers have got toxic rounds and red dots. I've dished out some frag grenades. One of my snipers has managed to clock up both a head injury, giving them frenzy, ammo hound, and the right stuff, or whatever it is that lets you reroll your dice for skills. I may well change that guy with the flamer, because otherwise I've got a sniper with frenzy. I may as well have a flamer with frenzy and an ability that gives them better ammo rolls. But Shadow War Armageddon I'm very much enjoying. It's a good game. It'll get me through till when 8th launches. I think 8th will be good. Lots of the problems with this edition, formations that give you 700-800 points of extra stuff for taking some compulsory units. huge advantages dished out to some armies, but not all. Some armies not having had updates this edition, some armies having real serious problems. I'm thinking particularly of orcs, Tyranids if you want to include the small beasts, things like that. The design work on things like Genestealer Cult, I'm very much liking. Genestealer Cult's come out of nowhere, not having had an army list since the beginning of 3rd edition in the little black book that Andy Chambers did the lists in, to being an army that lots of people play and lots of people like. And if you have a look at the miniatures, let's get a slightly nicer one. This is what I've been painting up. They're nice little guys, need a bit more work, but again, you can take it to the store and put it on the table standard. I'd like it to be significantly better, and it will be at some point soon, but you need to be able to game with these things. So you get a few coats on so it looks okay, and then you improve. So I took these to the store Friday night. When I take them this Thursday, Friday, they may be done, they may be close to being done. But getting back to chatting about 8th edition, it's going to be interesting. I like that they are changing things. I like that the game as a whole is showing some growth. I like that they're giving some attention to factions that have had no attention in a very long time. I'm looking particularly at you Thousand Sons, Genestealer Cults, Deathwatch, who were an upgrade kit for most of the history of the game. Yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff come out recently. They're listening to their customers because their customers are telling them what they want, which I think is going to inevitably lead to things like Plastic Sisters at some point reasonably soon, because it's just so many people are asking for it. They're adding Sisters to Shadow War Armageddon due to popular demand. There's all sorts of stuff going on. The good bits of Age of Sigmar are the bits that are getting copied, not the disastrous launch. So I am quietly optimistic. I'll be gaming every week. I'll be playing Shadow War. I'll be starting to get my Caridons ready for the next edition, and putting together some Nurgle stuff to go with the Plague Marines in the new starter set. I've already got a unit of 10 demons painted and varnished. I've got another unit of 10 assembled and undercoated. I'll finish off some giant plague fly dudes and a Great Unclean One conversion that I'll put on the channel and show you how I did it. But I'm liking where this edition is going. I've got faith that it's not going to be terrible, because let's be fair, this edition has huge issues in balance between the armies, and with some things not getting updated. Resetting everything to 0 and going from scratch, and giving things like orcs, who have so much better rules in Shadow War Armageddon than they do in 40k, a reset and going from scratch could lead to an awful lot of people getting their orc armies out. Because at the moment, orcs are an army that you play, but you're not necessarily going to win that often with, because everybody else has got such broken stuff and orcs don't. The mob rule is not very good. If they get the mob rule out of Shadow War Armageddon, where their leadership counts as one higher if they outnumber the enemy, and the way morale in close combat changes to be you simply take extra casualties, that'll actually be pretty good. If morale from shooting changes similarly, that's pretty good, because your knobs go from leadership 8 to leadership 9. So your squads are taking tests on leadership 9, they're taking leadership tests at the same leadership as Marines. So if they get in to combat, they're probably going to fight till there's not that many of them left, which is a good thing. There could be all sorts of opportunities for interesting change, and if they are going to update things yearly, like they are with Age of Sigmar and the General's Handbook, it means that balance can be fiddled with. Because at the moment there are armies with 6th edition army books and the points from 6th edition playing with a rule set that's not necessarily written with them in mind. And if a codex is badly written, then you are stuck with it for years, sometimes more than a decade now. How long was it between updates from the 3rd edition codex? The 5th edition Chaos Codex had big problems. The Dark Eldar Codex before this one had big problems when the edition changed. It'll be good to have a hard reboot. It'll be good to clear out the enormous pile of extra rules that supplements and things like that have caused. Because, and that's dry enough for me to put a wash on it in a minute, I don't want to lug half a dozen books to a game. If I can print out 4 or 5 sheets, and I've only got 4 different types of unit in my Carcharodon's army at the moment, Tactical Squads, Terminators, Dreadnoughts and Tyberos, if I can take a little plastic wallet with some laminated sheets in, that'll be great. It really will. They will still do codexes. They will still do codexes with fluff and painting guides and scenarios and narrative ideas in, because they're splitting it into 3 ways to play. So I imagine the structure will look very like the latest offerings for Age of Sigmar, where points costs are in there, but it's mostly about how you play the game and how you tell the story. As long as the point costs are in there and the point costs are balanced, which would be an improvement over now, then it'll be great. I'll keep playing. If not, there are alternatives and I can wait for them to fix it for a couple of years. That'll be what an awful lot of people have done with Age of Sigmar. But what are your thoughts on the coming edition? Please don't have a fight in the comments. My opinions are my opinion only. I don't have necessarily a lot of inside information. They may, well, I'm virtually certain the starter set is going to be Space Marines versus Plague Marines, to the point where I'm going to paint up a bunch of Nurgle stuff. And if not, the Nurgle stuff will be out within a month or 2 after. But are you excited about the next edition? What sort of armies do you want to collect? You'll be very free to do things as you wish. I could get another box or 2 of Vestroyans. I've got a Leman Russ tank. I could turn that into a small ally force for my Space Marines. I could use it as a small force in combat patrol. I will have enough for a kill team. Being able to walk into the store and buy something off the shelf and not have to spend 25 to 35 quid on a codex opens it up to a lot of people. If they do a 20 quid starter set, like they've done for Age of Sigmar, for 40k, that's pocket money prices. A little kid can walk in, 20 quid, not that much, pick that up. Where a 70 quid starter set might be too much. Age of Sigmar has been a test bed for lots of things that might benefit 40k. And it's also been a chance for them to find out lots of things that aren't going to work, and then not do them. They certainly saw the huge backlash at the start of Age of Sigmar, and they took steps. The way things are going now, I think the new edition will be good. I look forward to playing it. I'll keep playing Kill Team and Shadow War Armageddon until then, and then when the new edition comes out, I'll start playing some bigger games. If you've liked this video, hit like or subscribe, leave a comment below. Cheers.